So this color dialog over here, these sliders, these CMYK, do you watch this fill thing as I mess with these sliders? You see how that tweaks the color? So cyan, magenta, yellow, black, slider bars. CMYK, all zeros in that four-dimensional color space is white, and all 100s is black. All 100 cyan is pure cyan ink.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so that is a lot of color control right there. So if you're working in the CMY color space, a good rule of thumb for filling polygons for a map like this is very low numbers in the CMY. If you're working in the RGB color space, which is appropriate if you're designing maps for the web or for on-screen display, very high numbers in RGB, towards white in the RGB space. But we have CMY here, which we would be doing if we were designing a letter-sized print map. And so we want to use really low numbers in this color space to fill our polygons, because we want these states just to be filled with really soft tones so that the type we're going to put on there really can be read and visual. Okay, does that answer your question? Another way to change colors is within the swatches, which I don't have any swatches here, but if you want more color changing abilities, they have families of swatches if you're into certain categories. Web is a good one to choose from, web save colors. So this will open up a panel that's a color picker. So this is a new window, a new panel here with all web save color choices. And so if I want Texas to be burnt orange, which would be appropriate, I can do that. Another way.
How did you open that?
Okay, let's do that again. So I have my swatches panel active. That's the key panel for this. Does everybody see swatches on your screen? And down at the bottom left is a Swatch Libraries menu. Forgive me, you can see this right here, right? If I'm ever doing something and it's getting cut off from the screen, please let me know, because I can't see all the way over there. Jeff pointed that out earlier. But all of these are, I'm going to choose foods, ice cream, and it's going to give me weird ice cream colors. Now I'm going to choose a different one that is system colors for a Windows operating system, and it gives me all of these colors to pick from. So these, and you can create your own Swatch libraries when you become a more familiar Adobe Illustrator user if you're using the same. If you work for Harvard and you have the exact RGB values for the colors of Harvard, the grays and the maroons, or I'm sorry, the crimsons, and you want those, you make your own Swatch library and you open it so you always have those accessible. Another way to soften your colors, if you have all of your states selected and filled, you can choose the opacity to be lower, which is essentially just adding transparency into the mix by this opacity slider bar. So I'll show you what that does with California. I'm going to make this temporarily green and white.
That was my question.
So let us look at California selected, and then the opacity menu. If I go all the way to 0, it's fully transparent. If I go all the way to 100, it's fully opaque, and obviously anywhere in between. 50 is usually a good bet if you're going to apply transparency. Yeah.
Does that affect both the stroke and the fill?
Yes. Great question. All right. A couple more questions if you have them. If not, we'll move on to some basics of labeling the map with type. Yeah.
My color starts with HSB with openness, HSB by default. How do you get to see more detail?
So that's another good question. You can see where I am on the screen, right? On the far right side of the color menu, there's this drop down. And these are the color spaces that you can work with. So again, some background, some basic graphic design. If you're designing for the web or for print, if you're designing for an online journal article, or if you're designing for a print journal article, this is a fork in the road. RGB are colors that are designed to go on to electronic displays. It's mixing color using light. CMYK is mixing color using pigment. So if you have a color printer in your office and you want to try to get the exact colors that you're used to, you use CMY to specify those because it's mixing color using ink. So these color spaces are important, RGB and CMYK, for the two most dominant media we look at maps in or graphics in. CMY generally used for print, RGB for web design and other online presentations. Okay, so when I'm writing a journal article and I need to design a map or a figure for an online journal, I'll specify all that information in RGB and ship them a PDF. If I'm designing a print, I use all CMY. Okay? So we're mixing colors in different languages of different hardwares that make color in different ways. So for today, we should probably be using RGB, but I've been using CMY. It's not a big deal.